Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're going to compare two different fragrances from Celine and Chanel. So I was thinking of videos to film and comparisons because you guys seem to like them. And I was like, well, what fragrances do I have in the collection that a buyer would, check out at the same time or, want to get one or the other? And I thought of these two fragrances because they're both colognes, they're both very popular, and they're both from very world-renowned brands such as Celine and Chanel. So let's get into it. I have here two fragrances. I have Eau De Cologne by Chanel. This is what the packaging looks like. It is very simplistic. It's timeless, yes. I like the packaging. I do think that they could improve things like their caps, make it a little bit more hefty, make it a little bit more luxury, but they're not going to. They're Chanel. And we also have here Celine. So I did a video on this fragrance, and I just wanted to address this really quickly. The sprayer on this one is removable, so you can unscrew it and screw the cap on. I was reminded that Hedi Simon, when he launched La Collection Privée, which is true, he actually launched the three original colognes as splash-on bottles. Now, I get trying to, bring that back in some shape or form. That doesn't take the fact away that the bottle itself is a lot more simplistic than the rest of the collection, and that they have also made the cardboard packaging a little bit cheaper. And it's just my opinion. We're all entitled to our own opinion. It doesn't, mean that it's, a fact. None of the videos that I do are fact. They are my opinion, and I am just here to tell you where, I would spend my money, and if you agree with my decisions and my style and also my taste in fragrances, then thank you. But if you don't, then that's okay as well. So just letting you know that that's probably the reason why, even though that's a cop-out for me for luxury brands to save money. Just my opinion though. That's what I think, and I will stick to my opinion. Let's start off with Eau De Cologne. So this one's the older one. It was launched in 2007, and it was launched by Jacques Polge. So the perfumer behind it is Jacques Polge. The notes for this fragrance are going to be at the top. We have bergamot, lemon, green notes. Doesn't specify what the green notes are. We also get citrus fruits. It doesn't necessarily state what citrus fruits. I'm assuming it's something like mandarin, bergamot up top. And then in the middle, we're going to get spices, petitgrain, and neroli. At the base, we're going to get tonka bean and musk. So it's a cologne, very heavy on the citrus up top and the green notes up top. We get some spices in the middle and some very nice, beautiful elements, as well as some woody elements and obviously musk in this fragrance. So very nice. It is not the most groundbreaking fragrance from the House of Chanel. I will let you know that right now. I do love Chanel as a brand. I think they are probably the brand that I would say has the most groundbreaking perfumery in history. I know someone out there will probably disagree, but when we can talk about perfumery, they really do it best than anyone else. Packaging, it's another story for another person, but whenever it comes to the actual scent itself, they do reimagine the Eau De Cologne Celeste, which is this one here. By the way, they are very different sizes. I think this one is a 200 ml. I believe this is an 8.5 ounce bottle. This is a 6.8 ounce bottle. So there's quite a bit of size difference here. This size for Chanel does cost you $500, so it's going to be the more expensive one out of the two. And it is still an Eau De Cologne. Let me just clarify that. It is not an Eau De Parfum. It's an Eau De Cologne, $500. Most expensive cologne, I think, in the history of cologne. Probably not, but it is very expensive. And the Celine one is going to give you 8.5 ounces or 250 mils for the price of $350, I believe. Let me double check. So the Celine one is not $350, it is $315. So it's a little bit cheaper than the Chanel fragrance itself. And I don't know what you guys think about it. Let me know which one you would probably go for. I would eyeball both of them. I love both brands. I think they both have very similar styles. They kind of, stick to that powdery element. One is going to be Orris, which is Celine, and Chanel is going to stick to what they know best, which is aldehyde. So they both share some notes. They're going to share neroli as well as lemon, petitgrain. That's going to give both of these fragrances a very clean, refreshing, beautiful vibrancy, which is very much known for colognes itself. Now, I will say that Celine leans a little bit more feminine when it comes to a cologne. Traditionally, colognes lean a little bit more masculine because, I just think that's what men gravitated towards. But the fragrance itself, It's a nice scent. I love Celine fragrances. I love what they do with their perfumery. Now, I will say that Celine does come off a little bit more citricy when it first opens up. Once the fragrance starts to dry down, it seems like we lose all of these beautiful elements and we just get neroli, and that's it. Neroli and musk, and everything else is kind of lost. Everything else is kind of dissipated. When it comes to longevity and performance, I do think that Celine is nowhere near Chanel. It does, it's not going to anyways because it is an eau de cologne. Just to let you know, eau de colognes are not going to be long wearing fragrances. Their lifespan is typically anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and that's really pushing it. Most of them, I would say, last anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, and that's still pushing it. But this fragrance itself is going to last you, I would say, a total of 30 minutes. And that is me being very generous. 30 minutes, and then you just get neroli and musk. Which, I don't know. I like the neroli in here. It kind of reminds me of Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford, but done a little bit more tastefully, done a little bit lighter, a little bit more wearable, and not so perfumey, if that makes any sense, and not so Febreze or cleaning product for the house. It's done very well in the Celine Cologne Celeste, but I will say that the fragrance itself is it's just not going to wear for long. And because of the size of this fragrance, I would certainly say if you can get a pocket spray or a atomizer or a perfume spray or a purse spray, then definitely do that and decant it, and you will have to reapply this throughout the day multiple times because it doesn't have almost any longevity or performance, I should say, but it's not meant to. They do have other products that you can layer with this fragrance. I'm not sure if that's going to really help or, alleviate the poor performance and longevity with this fragrance, but it very well could. So I will say try that if you want to, and maybe it might fix the actual longevity and performance of this fragrance. Now, the Eau de Cologne by Chanel is surprisingly very long wearing for a cologne. It's not going to be an Eau de Parfum wearing. It's not going to be like a pure parfum where it's going to wear anywhere from 8 to 9 hours, and most eau de parfums and pure parfums don't anyways. Some of them do. Most of them don't. But this fragrance itself does come off very sharp when it first opens. You get those nice citric notes up top, and you get that green powderiness up top as well. There's a sparkle in almost every Chanel fragrance, and it's present in the Eau de Cologne as well. It's hard to put your hand on and your nose on, but it's aldehydes. At some point, they all start with aldehydes and then build upon that because it's obviously building upon the Chanel heritage. And this fragrance does not disappoint. It does have that sparkly transparency that we love out of these Chanel fragrances. It also has a cool touch to it, and it's a very beautiful scent. Now, I don't know. It's really hard to say if you should get this one over the Celine because the price point is just apples to pears. I mean, there's just no comparing. That's an extra almost $200 difference between the Celine one, which you're going to get more, or the Chanel one. I will say that the Chanel one does have complexity. What I like about it is that it starts off very sharp, very green, and then it gives you those woody nuances. It also gives you those nice sparkly elements to the actual fragrance itself. And it just lingers on with a freshness, a sparkliness, and a vibrancy that you just can't deny that the fragrance is good. I will say that the opening of Eau de Cologne is not my favorite. It starts off a little harsh. It starts off a little bit, kind of like burning your nostrils. Then it dries down and you're like, smells good. It's delicious. And it is a really nice fragrance. For an Eau de Cologne, it's very unique for the House of Chanel. It does have that Chanel DNA, and that's what I love about it. And I also think the same thing about Cologne Celeste. It's very unique to the House of Celine. They both have very different DNAs. I will say that in my personal opinion, I would go for Eau de Cologne if you can find it discounted or if you can find someone selling it cheaper because it is a lot more expensive. The Celine one is also very nice. It does wear very beautifully, but if you're not a fan of just ending up with two different notes from the entire fragrance breakdown, then you're probably not going to like it. And if you're not a fan of neroli, I would certainly say to steer clear of this one altogether because it's just not going to be the one that you're going to love. So which one would you decide for? Let me know down in the comments. I personally, it's hard to say. I think that if we're going based off smell, I would certainly say that Eau de Cologne is a better version of both of these fragrances. It's going to smell good. It has some complexity. It has some dynamics to it. It's a very well thought out fragrance, and it's an Eau De Cologne, so it's going to give you that very nice, refreshing quality that we love out of Eau De Colognes for the summertime. But it's very expensive as well. It has a very high price point, and if you are a fan of Chanel, there are a lot of other fragrances from Chanel that you could probably get. I would certainly say that if you can go into a Chanel boutique or to a department store that carries the Les Exclusives collection, to go in and try the fragrance, spray it on yourself, and then make your decision based off of that, because it does change quite a bit. If you are a fan of Celine, then go for Celine. But I will say that the fragrance does start off very complex, very intricate, and then dies down to just be neroli and musk at the end. I'm sure there's other things in there, but those are the two more prevalent notes that we can pick up based on smell. And yeah, it's very delicate, it's very light, it's not going to, be a shouty fragrance, it's not going to be super complex, it's not going to have a lot of dynamics to it, but it is beautiful nonetheless. And I do think that this fragrance is worth the money if you are going to use it as an eau de cologne. And what I mean by that is that you have to reapply it constantly throughout the day, something that you don't have to do with the Chanel one, but with this fragrance, the Cologne Celeste by Celine, you do have to reapply it constantly to get that performance and to get that entire vibe out of this fragrance. So if I had unlimited budget and I could go and get whatever and whenever I wanted to get, I would certainly get the Eau de Cologne by Chanel. I think it's a much more superior cologne. When it dries down, like I said, it leaves this beautiful trace of these sparkly elements, these woody elements, and these very refreshing qualities to it. Something that Celine does not have once it dries down. But I will say that Celine is a little bit more modern. So if you're looking for a more modern fragrance, you're a fan of neroli, you love orris, you love musk, then go for Celine. It's a very beautiful scent. I will say, like I said, the longevity with the Celine one, from my personal experience, is not the best. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts and opinions are. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fragrance related content. Until next time, you guys, take care.